guys, it's Amanda and Baron, and we are back again with Kicking Cancer Cares on KSLM Radio. Our sponsor for our second half is Venti's Cafe, and they are amazing, and they've got some awesome options. Sarah, you said you went there recently?
Yeah, it was super yummy.
Yeah? What did you end up getting?
Oh, gosh, you would ask that. No, it's fine. It was like oh, gosh, I hope it's the right restaurant. Like a vegan falafel situation.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, it was super good. It was like the right amount of spice. I'm really picky about falafel. So it was wonderful. They did a great job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they got a lot of vegan stuff.
They do.
Super good vegan food.
They've got so many options, and I was actually peeking their menu earlier today because my sister's going there for lunch, and they've got red curry fries, which is like a vegan red curry queso. I think I'm gonna grab some of that as well. So I'm gonna do pizza and fries.
Red curry fries sounds intriguing.
Girl.
Yeah,
it does.
Intriguing.
I love red curry. So and queso. So sign me up for that one. So huge shout out to Venti's Cafe. Thank you so much, Dino.
Thank you, Dino. I know that, speaking of food, we were talking off air about how our body responds to stress, whether it be yawning, whether it be how you digest food. And you were sharing some interesting thoughts on that, Sarah. You want to elaborate a little bit?
Yeah. So I know for me personally, as I'm letting go of things that no longer serve me, I yawn a lot. That's like my body's mind-brain connection of like releasing things. So I'll yawn to the point where my jaw starts to hurt. And I know that I'm like offloading things, right? Some people will feel like their stomach rearrange, right? As inflammation is resettling and offloading, their gut will get a little gurgly or they'll burp, right? Or have to go use the restroom more. It's because their body was holding on to all this trauma, all this tightness, all this inflammation, and now it feels safe to let that go. So I've actually seen people's like stomachs deflate in a good way because they were just so bloated by holding on to stuff, right? Because our body, if our body doesn't feel safe, it doesn't optimize, it doesn't process correctly. So it's wild to see as we release little T traumas, big T traumas, your body reorganizes itself. Like I used to store the grief of my father passing when I was younger in my shoulder, and so my shoulder would just hold on to all this tightness, and now my shoulder's free and easy. I can do all the things I want to, and I notice I don't know how I show up with men, and the masculine has healed so much because I was able to resolve that grief that was tied to that. So yeah, there's a lot more stories I have about how that works, but really your body does keep score and will let you know when it's time to resolve something.
So if somebody had lost a lot of weight out of nowhere, could that be its body way of responding to whatever traumas they've been going through?
Yeah, so I do have to say I'm not a doctor, so I just have to say that. So yes, for example, I shifted some thoughts and behaviors around my birthday, like some major thoughts and behaviors around visibility and being seen and sharing my dance with the world. And after that, so after I made that decision to let a lot of those limiting beliefs go, I've released about 28 pounds now.
Oh, wow.
That my birthday was in March, so it was like June now.
Wow.
So yeah, so you guys can look back at the old recording now, you'll see a difference. So my body did shift in that way. So not all weight loss is related to doing this work, but some can be. So I can say that. Yeah.
Well, and I've got a friend that person had stayed pretty steady at one weight for a long time. And after starting a few courses on how to begin to release some of this stuff, within about 6 weeks lost 20 pounds.
Wow. Okay.
So,
that's impressive.
Yeah, and it wasn't like major changes to diet, it wasn't major changes to exercise, it was major changes to mental health.
Yeah. Okay.
So, anyway, I thought it was
cool.
I know. Who would have thought you could use mental health as a way to lose weight?
Right. Well, and then looking back at it, I'm in such a good place where I'm at now mentally, physically, emotionally, all the things. And about when I started making that shift is when I didn't have to try to lose weight or even maintain weight. My body is now in a place, and has been for a while, where I'm just coasting no matter what I eat, what I don't eat, if I splurge or not, my body is just
Found a comfortable
truly
place
happy.
to hold on.
And it's weird because I'm in a good place. And so my body is now too. And I didn't know that was even a thing. So that makes more sense now too.
Yeah.
Could your body do the same thing if you were in a bad place?
Yeah, so when you're in fight or flight mode, your body's in survival mode, right? It doesn't feel safe, and so it's going to hold on to resources, right? It's going to hold every carb, sorry, I don't want to demonize carbs, any food that you're eating, it's more likely to hold on to it and store it for the danger that it perceives.
Right.
I was just in Sedona and Zion leading a retreat, and we talked about the difference between seeing a bear across the river and being like, oh, I should be careful, and looking for a bear everywhere you go, thinking there's constantly a bear. Because if you're constantly think there's a bear, your body's going to be like, oh, I'm not safe. I got to hold on to water. I got to hold on to food. I got to not let go of anything because I got to know I can sprint. I have the energy to run, right? If there's a bear. So where in your life, listeners, are you constantly looking for a bear or knowing that bears are occasional and we'll deal with it when it comes?
Yeah.
I like that was good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and we do go through those phases where
Yeah.
we're worried about this fight or flight, like the bears. But is that something you have to deal with all the time to create doom and gloom?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and we talked about it off air at the beginning, people looking for drama.
Yeah.
Right? Creating drama, finding drama, starting drama, right? Poking the thing
Poking
that
the
didn't.
bear.
Yes, poking the bear. Yes, thank you. And good job. Bonus points. When they don't have to, because humans like to solve problems. Well, what if you solve the problems within and weren't trying to find drama without? What might change in your life, right? Because if you're the thing you're focusing on, you bring about. If I tell you to look for a red bug, like a red VW bug, you're going to see one today. You may not have before I mentioned that. So what your thought life is what manifests in your life.
Yes.
So if I am a hypochondriac, for example, I think we all have those friends that are constantly like trying to self-diagnose or like Google diagnose.
They're always trying to find reasons why they're sick.
Yes.
Right. They're going to bring sickness about, and you'll see it at some point in their life because their body is being told, I'm sick, I'm broken, as opposed to better and better every day in every way, right? I'm better and better every day in every way. You will heal.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you were telling us you had a couple other really good examples. I'd love to hear a couple good examples of people where this has been beneficial for them.
Yeah.
I think the listeners would love to see how this concept is actually playing out for other people.
So I'll share an example that's recent and close to home. So I have a colleague who had a really, really hard time connecting with his emotions and did not feel like emotional intelligence was for him, felt that tool had been weaponized, that people had said like, oh, you don't have good emotional intelligence, like da-da-da-da-da, right? And that had been reinforced throughout his life, throughout his military. And then he realized that what that was actually linked to was the death of his grandparents when he was 11 that had raised him. So the people that he felt safest with, that he was able to self-express and be his true self with, were removed from his life in an instant.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, all that safety he created for himself was no longer present because there were conditions on it, right? There were people involved that made it safe. So when those people disappeared from his life, which was so sad, he just shut down. Just, nope, I can't feel those things. Things were weaponized against him in school. And then he was told he had special needs, right? All these things that weren't true. But it was because he was so insular and so self-protected because that safety around emotions had been ripped away. So as soon as he worked with another colleague of mine and was able to clear up that unsafety around emotions and realize like, oh, he hadn't made peace with his grandparents passing. Now he's showing up differently in his most important relationships. He's showing up differently in work. He's willing to do new things that didn't feel safe before. And he's willing to communicate in a different way so that people around him know him better, right? Because people want to be known. Like, we don't always believe that, but people deeply want to be known. So when you can feel safe expressing and sharing and being your authentic self, it's just so much easier to do life.
Yes.
So, yeah, but you got to deal with what started that unsafety, right? What started those shut downness tendencies. Clear that up. Life becomes easier.
Was that a difficult process to get him past that event at 11 years old?
It was 3 hours of coaching with a colleague. So that's, I would say, in the grand scheme of things, you could watch a movie for 3 hours, or you could change your whole life in 3 hours.
Time at all.
Exactly. Yeah, like we all could watch Netflix probably for 3 hours and not change a whole lot. But yeah, so that's what I like about this process. You know, I don't want to see a client for 20 years about the same thing.
Yeah.
I want to move through these things and unlock these keys so that people are feeling better after every session. Yeah.
It's amazing because fear, he was obviously scared of losing his grandparents and what the outside world would be.
Yeah.
And it's scary how fear can control and take over so much of our lives. And for him, it sounds like for many, many, many years, and made him a person that he wasn't even. So it's scary. We've got to let that stuff out.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's a whole section in the book about the psychology of helplessness, and just feeling like there's nothing I can do about this situation, and so there's this helpless feeling. Going back to those rats that were getting zapped by the electrical charge, they began to shut down because they had this feeling of helplessness against that electrical shock.
Yeah.
So if we can get past the feeling of helplessness, that there's a solution to our problem, then our bodies begin to go in the right direction.
Yes.
And I guess what a lot of the cancer patients are going through is this feeling of helplessness. That they just can't get past that. The need for groups like Breast Friends that have big support groups are just so critical as you're going through that fight.
Absolutely. Yes.
Does your group, you mentioned a retreat.
Yeah.
Do you try to create environments where there's a social aspect to this as well?
Yeah. So we were just in Sedona and Zion. It was our kind of big spring event. And it's really cool when you put a group of people in a house and they have to figure out how to interact with each other, how to speak a little bit differently, right? Because
they haven't met each other before you've been.
Well, some of them have, some of them haven't. Depends. Because I have my regulars that have been flying with me for 12 years doing these retreats. But we had a lot of new people this season, and it was interesting because we're talking about like what you think about, you bring about. There were a couple instances where I had to step in and say, hey, I've been overhearing your conversation in the other room, and about 80% of it was really negative. And when we have that storytelling, when we're in that story, even if we end with like, oh, but now I know how to, right? It tells the brain that's what I want to attract more of. That's what I want more of, because 80% of what the brain heard was negative. And so there was pushback. There was a little bit of prickliness. Like there was a little bit of conflict in the house because I was asking for some shifting of language and some shifting of storytelling. And we reached a good point with it, right? We reached a point where we were able to let go of some things over Bryce Canyon, over Grand Canyon, over, these vortexes in Sedona, and shift how we speak about ourselves, shift how we speak about the past, shift how we speak about the future, right? Sending hope into the future and like positive goals and not looking for those bears, right? And how we speak life over ourselves and others shifts the atmosphere around you. We've all experienced those people where you're like, wow, that was exhausting to be around them for a half hour even, but we want to show up in a different way where we can speak life into our environments.
Yeah, which is actually another section inside this chapter is to focus on the self in the present, not what happened in the past, not what could happen in the future, but what is happening
right now.
Yeah.
And we're just so critical to that process of what is happening right now.
Because it's unknown. Like, I don't know if I might fall out of this chair in this second, right? But I do know what happened before that kept me stable in this chair, right? So that's, again, benign example, but we as humans like our pattern recognition, right? We're like, I know if I sit down in this chair in a certain way and I put my foot here, then probably I'm going to be okay. Well, think about how that shows up in relationships, right? If I do these things and I say these things, I'll probably be safe. Will you?
Right.
You don't actually know that in the now, but people get in these patterns and stuckness and even toxic behavior, right? I know that if I do these things and say these things, I can get what I want. So when we shift those things and we get really vulnerable with ourselves and really present, I'm thinking of the book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Great and like approachable read, very easy read. All pain is in the past. Right? All pain is in the past. So once we start really realizing that and we're able to clear out those filters and clear out those old ways of being, now becomes a lot more juicy. I was just telling my husband this morning over like morning cuddles that my brain can just go blank. Like that's sometimes very hard for women to just have a blank space. Go blank? Yeah, just blank space brain, just like completely clear of thought, where I'm just like, wow. Here's a breath,
so peaceful.
Yeah, I'm just in my own little mind palace and there's just like wind. And that's newer for me. That's like in the last year. And I would hope that our listeners we're talking about meditation, right? Leaning into those more blank spaces where your brain can rest and your body can recharge and your cells can renew and repair. that they lean into it, right?
Yeah.
Meditation, especially like grounding and connecting. So grounding into the earth, connecting to your higher power. They've done studies that it increases your life 3 to 7 years if you do this as a regular daily practice. And people, it's 5 minutes. Like, we could do it on air. It's 5 minutes.
Wow.
It's not a long process.
Yeah.
Good way to start your day.
Yes, a good way to start your day,
Good.
end your day, have lunch break at Venti's or on Moe's Pizza. But you've got to take the time, just like the Netflix lesson, right? You're going to spend 3 hours on Netflix. You're going to spend 3 hours changing your whole life. 5 minutes on your phone, 5 minutes grounding and connecting.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Well, and I think when you learn to see those bad things and those bad behaviors and adjust them and turn them into positive, that then it continues to follow suit.
Yeah.
And everything just falls into place naturally, and it helps you probably maintain and deal with difficult situations better in the future, as well as relationships and all of that good stuff. So I feel like it will not only address your past and get you in a right mindset now, but then only better you for your future moving forward as well.
Because if I feel safe independently, right, as Sarah Mattson, I feel safe, then I'm not looking for danger all around me. Because my safety isn't dependent on any of you guys. My safety is found within and with my higher power, with God. So if I'm completely trusting of that process, then I don't need your validation to feel safe, or anyone's validation. And then we start breaking that codependency and become interdependent, which one of my good friends told me that word. I was like, oh, I don't think I've heard it in that way. But when we're interdependent, we can just help each other in a way that honors each other's times, talents, and treasures. Then we're not creating these patterns and repeating these patterns that maybe were taught to us.
Yeah. I like that.
I think that the breath work, we've had Kate on the show before. The breath work is so critical in trying to create that balance that we need to have.
Yeah.
So I love the examples you're giving me. I'm just soaking up the examples you've given us here. And do you have another good example you could share with us?
You mentioned breath work. So breath work and meditation and Reiki and a lot of these different things, they release DMT in the brain. So DMT is consciousness,
it's a chemical?
essentially. Yeah, it's a chemical in the brain. But it is what they're saying now is like our field of consciousness. So if you were walking down the street and I was driving behind you and I like looked at the back of your head, you'd like feel it and turn and look, right? We're consciously connected.
Okay.
And that's happened to all of us. I'm sure you've all like seen somebody
like
on the street and they're like,
me.
oh yeah, you feel it. So this DMT expands your consciousness, and we don't have, there's some people use plant medicine, different things. That's all great. But you can do this yourself through meditation and breath work and getting really present in your body, and you'll expand your consciousness and feel these positive feelings, and again build those new neural pathways, build new serotonin pathways which help you feel good, right? Build new trains of thought, connect with your higher power, feel these different things in a new way where your body feels so safe and held, and then you're able to create this inner healing, right? And discover this inner world and realize how connected we all are, right? Through music, through feelings, through thoughts, through so many things. We're so connected to everyone in the world. We're in this together. And I think there's a lot of forces out there that want us really isolated, especially with cancer journeys. You can feel really isolated, but remembering that you're connected is super important.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the power of the connectivity that we're talking about. You were going to say something?
Yeah. So with everything that you've done, all of your training, all the people you've worked with, what would you say is the most powerful tool that you can give to somebody to use? And why?
Okay, so everything like root cause coaching, timeline therapy, that all falls under the umbrella of neuro-linguistic programming, which is the language of the subconscious mind. So that's what I was referencing earlier. Is integrative medicine says NLP is the most effective form of mental health treatment. So I love my meditation, I love my breath work, I love all the other things we've talked about today. But as far as getting to the root cause, creating resolution, clearing up your timeline, that's what's going to have the most lasting effect. Because I love meditation, but if I were to only have done meditation, I would not be here today.
Right.
Like, just period. So clearing up all these timelines, all these, these infinite timelines within us, right? Like Dr. Strange is going all these things. But we have infinite possibility, right? I could drop my phone or I could put it over here. That could change in a half second what I do. So our timelines are constantly growing and branching. And when we clear those filters up, then we're able to see light and life where we didn't have it before. So yeah, that's
Okay.
definitely the most effective tool. And then you combine that with sound healing, right? You combine these different modalities.
Because you use music. in
Yes,
your
I
retreats.
do. Yeah, good segue because you knew you read my mind. See, we're telepathically connected. So, shout out to my good friend Billy Mickelson of 3rd7. He was at the Sedona and Zion retreat, and we had a really powerful meditation where I was intuitively downloading, like, I believe from God, sharing this meditation over the group, and he was playing cello intuitively as well. So, like, it was so powerful to see, like, I was going to speak about like a bubbling creek or whatever, and he would start playing those noises before I said it, right? Because we're like a half second ahead of each other in spirit.
Because he knew where you were headed.
Yes, he knew where I was headed. And so he had this out-of-body experience. I had this out-of-body experience. I saw everyone's angels like show up at this retreat, like all their guardian angels, and they like were standing over them, like supporting them as they were going on this meditative journey and reclaiming their inner power, which really is surrender to love once you break down what it is. Yeah. and
Ashley's got goosebumps
oh
all
yeah,
over.
no, it was the most powerful spiritual experience I've had ever.
Wow.
Ever. Yeah, and I'm still journaling about it because it was just so transcendent to sit. We were getting ready for the meditation, Billy's sitting there, I'm sitting there, and I drop in, so I'm ready to go, and all of a sudden everybody's angels show up. I'm like, oh, hi, everybody.
Your room doubled in size.
Yes, it did. And it was warm. And there's like a specific smell when things like that happen, this really pleasant floral smell that I could not duplicate. And so we do this meditation, I don't know, 45 minutes, 2,000 years. Who knows how long we were there. Time gets real bendy. And then people are crying. There's this cathartic release. I go around, we hug. Everybody gets a hug. And then we debrief. We talk about what we witnessed, what we saw, what we felt. And everybody had a very unique experience, but it was all that transformation. Well, it was all in their mind, right? I'm sending them on a journey with words. Like, it's all in their mind. They're going on their own journey, experiencing these different colors and sights and sounds and who's showing up for them in this journey. So you're able to create this really awesome, safe environment using root cause coaching, using these tools in this meditation. And then you add cello music, which impacts all the chakras here and impacts your mind in such a way and holds you in such a way. It's like what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, I want to do NLP and I want to do guided meditations.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so that definitely check out 3rd7 on Spotify, Bandcamp, all the fun platforms, 3rd7.com to see more music. And we do an event in Corvallis on the 25th, so you can see on my Instagram what's going on. Yeah.
Event coming up.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing.
Yeah.
Well, I did have a really interesting timeline I'm to bring to you with this episode. It would have been September of 2022.
Okay.
Brenda had flown up to do the Spartan race, and the next day we went out to Mike Adams' property,
Yes.
and we brought JFK band out there.
Yes.
Turns out one of their band members wasn't feeling well, so it was only 3 of the 4, and there wasn't enough power to do the full-on show, so they called it JFK Unplugged. But we had the band there, they were playing. We had several different vendors set up that could share what they had. And then you and I did a live remote out there just briefly
Yes,
from
we
that
did.
event. And it's a wonderful chance to be able to come out to the property, just bring some community out there, just thank them for all the support they've given us throughout that whole year. And it was just amazing event that we had out there that day.
It was. I enjoyed meeting with a bunch of people, talking with the vendors. There was
There was some food trucks out there.
Yep. They had cornhole going
Yep.
and then the music playing, and I got to meet with a bunch of new people I'd never met with, and that was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. And Mike Adams' property.
Mike has just cleared out this area that had a bunch of blackberry brambles and opened it up for weddings and other events, and he donated the property so we could have this wonderful community event.
Nice.
And really, like you're saying, just a chance to bring community together. People just enjoyed it. There was music going, there was food, there was wine, and it was a wonderful evening that day.
It was. That was a good one.
Remember that vivid I see.
Yes, it was. I had fun. I think that was one of the first live remotes I did with Kicking Cancer.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
He had a big section laid out that people could park in as they're walking in. She was up there to do the live remote. So, But I just really want to bring awareness today as to how your mind and body are connected, and all the things that, and and Sarah's really kind of an expert in this field, so I thought it'd be a good one to just, how do you take advantage of that, and how do you use that as a technique?
And I think what I love most is that you are a professional in this field, and yet you still go through like what happened at the retreat with the angels and stuff.
Yeah.
Where your body's still growing and absorbing and all of that. So that's really cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're all in process.
Yes.
We're all on a journey.
Forever.
Yes. Forever and ever. It's lovely.
Okay.
Well, thank you for being with us again today.
Yeah. Thank you
very
guys.
much.
Yeah. It's awesome. Thank you all.
A huge shout out to Odd Mo's. Nope, just kidding. Venties.
just when we get eaten today, right?
They have amazing. I love their burger patty, where it's a lentil mushroom patty, and it is so good. But I love mushrooms. But my husband, he is not a mushroom guy, and he loves those patties.
Oh,
so even if you're not a mushroom person, they are still absolutely amazing. And if that's just not your thing, they also have regular beef patties, grass-fed, all organic, amazing food. So vegan, vegetarian, and normal meat options, healthy options, and just wholesome, good food options. So,
well, and they make sure the meat they have is grass-fed, so you're getting good wholesome
still
beef.
All really good ingredients. So definitely go check them out, and we'll be back next week
as the movement continues.